Hello, I'm Kade Herbert. I'm the host of the CT Cloud CallTower podcast. Joining us today, we have William Rubio. William is the CRO here at CallTower. And we're going to kind of continue our series about working from anywhere and how CallTower, one of our major goals is enabling our customers so that they can work using any device they have and with any solution from us that we have available. The topic today is mostly about our CT Cloud Voice solution. It's a Metaswitch-based solution, and well, actually, I'm gonna let William break into it a little bit more. That I think he's definitely the subject matter expert more than I am. William, talk to us a little bit about what CT Cloud Voice is. Like, what does and how does Metaswitch play into it?
Sure. Okay, first and foremost, to all of our partners and customers and potential customers out there, thank you very much for joining this morning. We like to make these kind of quick and right to the point, so we'll dive into it. The unique thing about CT Cloud Voice or CT Cloud, that's basically kind of our overarching product suite. Within CT Cloud, there's a lot of different products like CT Cloud Voice, CT Cloud Contact Center, CT Cloud Unite, CT Cloud Fax, CT Cloud Boost, that all kind of fit into that wheelhouse overall. But CT Cloud itself is based on a Metaswitch platform. For those of you that have been around for as long as I have in this space, back in the early 2000s, there was really a couple of different unified communications or VoIP switches that were really out there as kind of mainstream. One of them being BroadSoft, which was acquired by Cisco a few years ago, and the other one being Metaswitch. Now, BroadSoft was a US company. Metaswitch was a UK company that was acquired in May of 2020, so coming up here on a year, by Microsoft. And the interesting thing is that both really were a full-featured VoIP switch that really were kind of the entry level platforms into UCaaS, and that's how kind of UCaaS really started to develop overall. It was first voice over IP, and now it's obviously voice over IP is just a part of unified communications overall. So we're very fortunate that with one of the acquisitions that we made back in actually about 3 years ago with Appia Communications, we inherited the Metaswitch solution, and that was one of the reasons why we went out there and looked at acquiring Appia, was because of that technology. And we've been able to leverage Metaswitch for the past several years as really being kind of the glue behind our core offerings, right? We've evolved from Link to Skype for Business to now Microsoft Teams, which we're still leveraging Metaswitch or CT Cloud as we call it, and I'll get into how we do that. And then also on the Cisco side with our Cisco call managers, and then also now our Cisco HCS, really leveraging that Metaswitch solution. So what CT Cloud does is it really takes those two core platforms, Microsoft and Cisco, and we'll stick to Microsoft Teams and Cisco WebEx just for simplicity purposes, but really takes those two solutions, understands the limitations or the non-existence of some feature requirements that customers will have, and really fills in those gaps. I mean, that's really one of the main purposes of CT Cloud. Now, it can stand up on itself. So CT Cloud Voice is a full-featured UCaaS switch that I'll put it up against any switch that's out there from a feature and stability standpoint. It's very good. We offer it not just here in the US, but also in about 70 different countries. It could do everything under the sun. It's very flexible from a SIP device standpoint. We could use Yealink, we could use Polycom, we could use Cisco, we could use Grandstream phones on there. It's fully geo-redundant, and it does a lot of different things that some other core switches just won't do overall. But what it also does when you're looking at a Microsoft or a Cisco solution is it actually goes ahead and provides that, fills in those gaps, like I mentioned. So some of the things that it does just right off the bat is it goes ahead and it fills in things like SMS texting, CRM integration. It does paging. It could do the door buzzers. It could help us out with CT Cloud Fax, so faxing. Also, those old SIP devices that a lot of organizations just want to continue to work with, right? You have that executive that just refuses to get rid of that old Polycom, Starfish type phone that they just want to use. And, Metaswitch is a really good solution that just helps us fill in those gaps, right? Even basic things like paging. I mean, there's a lot of customers that work in a warehouse environment and they need a paging system, or they just need a couple of wall phones just to use for emergency services because they got to have them on the top. And Metaswitch really just fills in that gap for us overall. So it's just a really great, robust solution that has given us the ability to take Cisco and Microsoft and really take it to the next level to continue to add differentiators for our customers to give them that competitive advantage in the specific industries that they're in, and really complement the core requirements that they're looking for. Instead of going out there and dealing with 5 or 6 different vendors, we kind of bring that all into one solution so that the customers have that one-stop shop feeling and don't have to worry about managing all those different vendors.
Very true. Yeah, one of the things that we strive to do at CallTower is, instead of us, trying to find the right customer for the one solution that we push, or for example, Teams. Everyone should have Teams. Teams this, Teams that. Teams does have some very real functionality holes, like you mentioned, paging, faxing, that sort of thing. And it's good to have a solution that can really bring it all together for our customers, so that we can make the solution work for our customers rather than make our customers work for the solution. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right. It's a lot of our competitors, and again, a big differentiator for us is that they try to push their product, and you as a customer have to accommodate. We're the complete opposite, right? We sit down, our sales team, our solution architects with our partners sit down, want to listen to what are your current struggles today, what's also your plans over the next 6 months to year, so that we understand exactly how you want to go. It might be that you're putting a migration path in place to go from one platform to another, or you're ready to make that jump right now. But for us, it's about driving a solution that's going to work for you now and over the next several years, and not being single threaded and trying to force down our product onto you. So, a lot of people like to use that solution selling terminology very loosely. We don't. I mean, it's our bread and butter, and one of the reasons why we've been successful over the past 20 years, because of the fact that, again, it's about driving the right solution to meet and exceed our customers' needs today and tomorrow.
Very much so. Well, the big news in Metaswitch circles, especially in the last few months, is that Microsoft is, of course, acquiring Metaswitch as part of the Microsoft umbrella, if you will. What is CallTower's take on that? I mean, obviously that kind of just works with our overall vision, because we're working with Teams, we're working with Metaswitch, and we often combine the two. How does CallTower see that acquisition as a strategic benefit or hindrance moving forward?
No, we look at it as we were very excited when we actually saw that announcement come out. We've had a great partnership with Microsoft going back to 2008, so about 13 plus years we've been a partner with them. On the Metaswitch side, again, we inherited that partnership, but a lot of the individuals that established a relationship with Metaswitch, going back to Appia Communications, are still with us today. So that relationship, if anything, has just continued to evolve, because obviously we've just continued to work well with Metaswitch and expanded our product portfolio with what we're doing with Metaswitch. So we look at it as actually a very big positive, a very big plus for us. We know Microsoft obviously is going to change some things on the back end, which they've already done as far as their strategic vision for their acquisition of Metaswitch, but it really does align with what CallTower is doing. And it's going to bring a lot of flexibility into Microsoft Teams, which was one of the core reasons that Microsoft looked at doing that acquisition. They're also doing some stuff on the 5G side wirelessly, because they really want to make it very device agnostic to come in and out of leveraging Microsoft Teams to really just make it your core app on your desktop. I mean, that's really what they're really trying to do. They're trying to get away from the email port perspective of it, of Outlook, and really just make Teams your everything, which email is somewhat already part of Microsoft Teams. And some people might realize that, but it does live in that eco space as well. That I don't have to go to Outlook. I could just work in Teams. and still be on my email, but also remove the dependency of email a little bit, because that's what Teams does from a collaboration standpoint as well, right? So we're really trying to accomplish that. So we look at it as a real huge plus for us overall. We're obviously working strategically with Microsoft to make sure that we're aligning with their vision and they're aligning with ours, so we can continue to grow our organization strategically. And at the same time, at the end of the day, the core of this is to really make sure that we're providing the solutions that our customers are looking for. And that's really what the driver is behind. We're listening to the market, both our small and medium and also our enterprise customers, and making sure that we're aligning with our partners and with those customers to bring in the solutions that really are just currently in demand.
Fantastic. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing how that evolves and how CallTower evolves with it. Like you were saying earlier, CallTower kind of evolves as Microsoft and the UCaaS market evolves. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this Metaswitch acquisition is going to really change the environment.
It does,
yeah.
It does. I mean, the main what's the saying? The only constant is change, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Oh man, isn't that the truth? Especially in the UCaaS world and in telecom in general. Oh well, you talked about this a little bit when we were talking about how Microsoft Teams has a few holes a few gaps in the feature base as far as Metaswitch is concerned. Let's dig a little into CT Cloud SIP and how that fits in, and how SIP devices can be utilized using our Metaswitch and CT Cloud voice platform.
Sure. So a couple different things. I was just actually working on a design yesterday for a pretty complex customer that we're working with about 15,000 users globally, primarily more in the US, but globally. And they're currently actually running a Skype prem-based solution right now.
Okay.
They're interested in moving over to Teams. And in the interest of moving over to Teams, and instead of them going through the steps of going from a Skype, their own instance of Skype, and then going to Skype Online, which is going to go away with Microsoft here in July, and then moving over to us on Teams, we're going to be delivering SIP trunks to their Skype premise-based solution, so that we could port over all their DIDs, have them on our service, and then slowly do a phase migration over into Microsoft Teams. So it's kind of like we're ripping off the Band-Aid, but we're just ripping off the underlying technology. And then from a customer standpoint, it's not really customer impacting, because now we could port over, since we've already ported over to CallTower. Now I can move them to any solution, Teams, Cisco, CT Cloud Voice, it doesn't matter. And I could do that through our Metaswitch and the SIP connections, because Metaswitch is certified to provide SIP into Microsoft Skype, which again, it's going away, but it's a very good baby step to get the customer comfortable to actually move into that design. So I know that's a little bit more technical, but just to kind of show the power of CT SIP and what it does. And then the other part of it, it really is a complement for customers that say, hey, I'm in a hybrid mode, right? I have some customers or some offices that I'm going to continue to work with. Maybe I have an old premise-based system that, or not old, maybe a couple years old, that I'm just not ready to rip and replace just yet, but I want to kind of get into your solution for maybe my remote users, because now we're going more to a remote, a work from home type of environment. Can you help me out with that? And we say, sure, we'll deliver a SIP trunk to your corporate office. We'll move your DIDs over to CallTower, and then all your remote users, they could be working on either our Cisco calling plan and our platform there, our Microsoft Teams plan, or our CT Cloud Voice. And as you're ready to migrate away from that premise space from your office, we could do that for you. But in the meantime, we could support those work from home with those remote workers on our CT Cloud, connect to your premise-based solution and work that route. So a lot of flexibility it brings into the fold that other competitors don't have, because again, they're single-threaded, but we have those three core platforms, really four if you want to separate CT Cloud Voice and CT Cloud SIP, the UCaaS and the SIP side separately, that we could just add to the table. And for us, it all works within CallTower Connect. So whether it's a temporary solution or a hybrid solution for a year, 6 months, 2 years, you just log into CallTower Connect and you get to manage your entire environment without having to log into 4 or 5 different platforms.
Well, that's really powerful. I mean, the just from a migration perspective alone, you're saving money by transitioning slowly. You're saving your IT team a whole bunch of work, meaning that they can kind of roll this out quickly instead of just having a broken system for a few weeks. We make it easy on our customers to actually make the change, which is part of the reason why it's so, for lack of a better word, scary for people to move over to Microsoft Teams.
Yep, it is. And then, the other part of it too is that we leverage substantially is the part about the failover. We have a lot of customers that are moving to us over on Microsoft Teams, and they say, hey, I'm using Microsoft Teams. I like it. I love it. It works great. Occasionally, I mean, I think it's only been 3 times in the last 2 years that Microsoft had some type of interruption on the Teams app. But then the question comes up, I'm okay with my meetings being down or with my email being down, but my voice can't be down, right? My customers, my vendors,
Yeah, it's
I
for an
need
emergency. Yeah.
exactly. I need a way to communicate with them. And again, we leverage our CT cloud infrastructure with Metaswitch, and we say, well, we're going to put a front end auto attendant that could be manually activated or automated. And what would happen is that if it cannot connect into your Teams application for a specific user or a group of users, or maybe your main number into a specific office, or even to your contact center, we can reroute that call either automatically or manually. And you get to control that, Mr. Customer, and how you want to do that, right? We could just set it up for you in either which way. So again, different ways that we can help customers that are saying, hey, it's critical. I love this. I want to go to this, but what are you going to give me as far as failover? And let's face it, every system, I don't care what system's out there, there's always going to be an issue that you have to prepare for. And with us, it's just making sure that we prepare the right way so that in those critical moments, our customers are still up and running. I mean, we could look at what happened in Texas, right? Last week, our
Yeah.
customers were up that were set up correctly because they planned correctly. We helped design what they were looking for, and there was no glitches on their end because we were hosting their infrastructures across our multiple data centers. And yeah, their office might have not been working, but their customers were still able to communicate to them, whether it was on cell phones, whether it was in other offices, if they were out of a critical area that had some interruption of service, or if it was just simply going to a voicemail to respond back or giving their customers messages that, hey, they're experiencing issues right now, but they will be up and running within the next day or two. That was critical for them.
Absolutely, and it makes sense that from our topic of these first few webinars that were, or podcasts rather, that we're doing, that working from anywhere includes even during a crisis, even during a major weather event or an earthquake or what have you, that the services are up and running because we have our geo redundancies, and we have solutions like CT Cloud Voice that can really help our customers continue to function even when functionality is for the most part down in their area. So, all right. Well, William, thank you so much for breaking this all down for us. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. This is episode 2. We're looking forward to rolling out a few more episodes here in the next few weeks. So thank you for listening in, and we will see you next time.